And food delivery companies have teamed up with the Home Office to try and tackle illegal migrants working as drivers.
Yeah, so in recent years, firms including Deliveroo, Uber Eats and the like have seen a rise in account holders selling their details to illegal migrants. And now the government is hoping that the introduction of digital checks will put an end to this.
Well, meanwhile, the Home Office is under more and more pressure after more protests in Epping and indeed further afield too. Reports surfaced of protesters outside a hotel in Canary Wharf after it was reported asylum seekers could be moved there.
We're going to get more on all of this with our Home and Security editor, Mark White, who joins us now. Mark, so the government are now going to be telling Uber Eats and Deliveroo where these asylum hotels are going to prop up so that they can then tackle illegal workers. But we also heard that they're going to not be telling us, the greater public, where these hotels are popping up.
No, and that's, they say, because of issues around the concern that they have for the safety of asylum seekers in these hotels. But the fact is, any community where their local hotel, that amenity has been taken over by asylum seekers, people know that it has become an asylum seeker hotel fairly quickly anyway. And the delivery companies have been calling on the government actually to give them those details for some time, because what you've had is effectively Home Office ministers demanding that these delivery companies, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Just Eat, do more to stop those account holders with a legitimate account subletting that account to illegal immigrants and to asylum seekers who have no right to work here. And we know many, many thousands are doing this right up and down the country. But the delivery companies have said, well, give us the location of the hotels, which are being turned into asylum or sort of delivery hubs, and we'll geolocate and we'll block the drivers operating from those hotels. So that's what they want to do. Listen, we know that the illegal immigrants, those that are working illegally here, will adapt and overcome at some point. They'll pick another address that isn't near an asylum hotel. But it's something, at least in the meantime, that might do something about what is clearly a growing problem.
Now, there is much more besides. It all links into, of course, the problem of migrant hotels. And despite this government's promise to shut down all the migrant hotels, it seems more are popping up every single week. But certainly a lot of consternation in Epping this week, and a police response that has left a lot of people with a lot of questions, and some news on that front today.
Yeah, some serious questions, I think, for Essex Police to answer on this, which is why they're giving a news conference this afternoon on this very issue. We can report that the Reform leader, Nigel Farage, has just called for the resignation of the Essex Chief Constable, BJ Harrington, saying he doesn't know now how BJ Harrington can stay in his job following the revelations that Essex Police escorted this rival group of protesters right into the heart of that volatile protest outside the Bell Hotel in Epping on Friday, and then not just escorted them back on foot, but actually took them in vans, in police vans, back to the station afterwards. The optics of this are absolutely appalling, because there's a lot of distrust in many communities over what people perceive, rightly or wrongly, as two-tier policing. And the optics of what we're seeing here on screen, of police vans with dozens of these Antifa protesters inside being taken back to the station, as I say, is just, I think, disastrous for Essex Police. But also there are serious questions about the command decisions here. Why, if this protest was so volatile, that they then had to pull these protesters, counter-protesters, back out for their own safety? Was a command decision taken to escort them there in the first place? Because they have, even though they want to facilitate lawful protest, they have laws available to them under the Public Order Act where they could have said and imposed restrictions and said, you're not getting within a mile of the Epping Hotel, it's we believe, too inflammatory to do that, and they could have imposed those restrictions. Instead, they took them to the hotel. They clearly then didn't have enough resources to manage two separate protests and keep them apart. So some very serious issues to answer that Essex Police have to answer, and as I say, compounded now by the Reform leader saying that the Chief Constable should resign.
Well, hopefully we'll hear some answers at this press conference in a little bit, so do stick with us on GB News. But
hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
let's bring in the journalist, independent journalist and commentator Jack Hadfield. Now, Jack, we wanted to speak to you because you were down at the protests in Canary Wharf yesterday. Now, this all seemed to kick off in the late afternoon, didn't it? There was word on the street that perhaps some of the Epping migrants had been moved to this hotel in Canary Wharf. We then found out that actually that was not the case, but it had been secured as a migrant facility. Tell us more.
Yes, exactly. It seems that the Britannia Hotel, which is down there, had at least been secured as a migrant facility, and people were made aware of this. Locals were made aware of this at least on Tuesday morning. I spoke to somebody who lived in the building next door, and they said that security had just warned them that this would become an asylum hotel that day. But yes, as I said, we don't know if there are any migrants there yet. I believe they've put up steel fencing, ring security around the Britannia Hotel now. I don't know whether that's for our protection or for the migrants. Obviously, you know, there was a protest that sparked off yesterday. It was very impromptu. I just saw it was happening, and then I went down. And it was, again, relatively local people who were concerned, who had grave concerns about the asylum hotels being put here. Again, obviously, the Epping protest was sparked off because there was a migrant who allegedly sexually assaulted a girl in the centre of Epping. And that's what I've heard a lot from people on the ground. They're really concerned about the safety of their family, their wives, their daughters, their sisters. This is something that people are very, very concerned about.
Now, you spoke to a couple of women. I wonder if we have that clip, just to get an idea of what people were saying outside. We'll get it in a little bit. But tell us a little more about the hotel itself, because I think people were quite shocked to see such a hotel being used for such a purpose.
Yes, well, I said the Britannia Hotel is a 4-star hotel in the middle of Canary Wharf. It has a pool. It's got all sorts of amazing facilities. I believe it was something around £200 a night. And now this is being used, paying guests were not only told that their reservations were cancelled immediately, but I saw at least one section where a taxi turned up to the hotel and people came out with suitcases and luggage. And obviously the police were just in front of the hotel. So these poor people were so confused about what was going on. Wow. They just got in the taxi and left and went back again.
So these are people who have turned up in London paying big money for a very nice hotel in a very fancy part of the city, who turn up out of the taxi, perhaps just off an aeroplane, and their first impression of Britain is
not great,
you can't stay in the hotel you've paid for because migrants are being put in there for free.
No, that's crazy. And the thing is now, we are now paying for this hotel. We are now paying for these people to stay here. I just worked out before he came on that, the median taxpayer pays around, who earns around £35,000 a year. If they pay about £7,000 in tax on average, the cost of the migrant hotels in the year ending March this year was $2 billion. That means that every single day, the net tax-paying contributions of 785 people are being wiped out to pay for asylum hotels nationwide. Over the course of 1 year, that's 285,000 people, which is approximately the population of Newcastle.
The population of Newcastle might as well just not go to work for all of their tax contributions as it's being sucked up in the asylum hotel system. That is a crazy statistic.
The figures are stunning. Let's have a look at the clip of the women that you spoke to outside the hotel.
I'm here today because I've been waiting nearly 19 years. I'm homeless with 4 children, and I've been up the housing several times, many years, and they turned around and said they've got no properties, they've got no room for me. They shipped me out to Ilford about 5 months ago. They took me out of my support network. They took my children away from their schools. The children have failed all their exams, and one of my children got sexually assaulted on Elizabeth line, and now she won't come out of her bedroom. My kids are isolated, and they've just ruined my life. And to feel like this, they can put me in this hotel, do you know what I mean, with my kids, let them live a little bit.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's that element of fairness. Why am I not being put up in a hotel like this? Mark, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, well, the thing is, they could have actually been allowed in and to stay in the hotel in the meantime, because it's been requisitioned by the Home Office, but there are no migrants in there at the moment. It's a contingency for the expected summer surge. So we're getting into the flat cam conditions in the Channel, which means on a good day, 1,000 people can cross. And that is doable and manageable for the processing centre at Manston in Kent. But then if you get another good day and then another good day, Manston just grinds to a halt. They can't process them quickly enough. So basically they get them out of their toot suite and they put them to this sort of big hotel, the Britannia, in Canary Wharf as a contingency. So they're not in there at the moment, but we've taken over the taxpayer, this hotel. We're paying the company
in anticipation
to have it there as a contingency.
How many hotels must have been taken up that someone in the Treasury or the Home Office decided the most cost-effective option is a swanky hotel in Canary Wharf, in London's Manhattan? Why on earth has this become the go-to place? Shall we just have a final word with Jack Hadfield? Because you've been at these protests yesterday, you've been days before in Epping as well. What do you think the police might be saying at their press conference within the next hour with regard to how they have been handling things in Epping?
I honestly cannot predict what they would say because, frankly, I think it's astonishing that the way that they've been behaving. As you said, they pushed the counter-protesters towards the protesters outside of the Bell Hotel, as if there's some God-given right for a counter-protest to face off exactly against the protest that they're demonstrating. I see no reason why they couldn't have let them counter-protest in the middle of town. And as I said, when I was there on Epping on a Sunday, they moved one counter-protester who was just by herself later on. They shepherded her from the Bell Hotel all the way back to the centre of town in sort of a rolling police convoy, which allowed people to get up close to her, shout at her. There were missiles thrown, which injured one police officer. It created the confrontation rather than what you usually do at these protests, which is you arrest someone for breach of the peace, you bundle them into the van, you move them away to a safe area, and then you de-arrest them. That's the standard procedure. I don't know why they didn't do this in Epping.
It's quite interesting. A lot of the reaction from the Labour side of things and from the local MP is that refugees are welcome here, says Sana Begum MP, in the face of relentless demonisation and targeting. She says we continue to stand with migrants for their rights to safety and dignity. It's the far right and their hateful ideology that are not welcome